OKC Thunder are officially advancing to the Western Conference Finals, and honestly, it still feels like nobody has an answer for this team. This is now their second straight sweep of the playoffs. First, they nearly swept the Phoenix Suns in the opening round, and now they've completely taken out the fourth-seeded Los Angeles Lakers. And no, this wasn't luck or a fluke. The Lakers spent the entire season trying to figure out OKC, and they never found the answer. The Thunder went 4-0 against LA in the regular season, and then 4-0 again in the playoffs. With an average winning margin of around 22 points. That's domination. In most of the games, the Lakers weren't even close late in the second half. Even when LA had strong first halves, they kept collapsing after halftime. Out of OKC's 8 wins over the Lakers this season, only 2 were decided by less than 10 points. The rest were blowouts by 18 or more, including a massive 43-point destruction. Game 4 was honestly the Lakers' best fight. OKC only led by 5 late in the game, and LA finally looked like they had a real chance to steal one. But once again, they couldn't finish. Meanwhile, the Thunder just kept rolling because of how many weapons they have. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander also stepped up after some below-average performances in the first 3 games. In the closeout win, he finally exploded for 35 points on 50% shooting while going 12 of 15 from the free throw line. After scoring just 18, 22, and 23 points in games 1-3, SGA finally looked like himself again. But the scary part? Even when their superstar wasn't dominating, OKC was still winning comfortably, and even sweeping teams. That just shows how deep this young Thunder squad really is. And they're not even at full strength yet. They're still missing J-Dub, one of the team's most important players, a two-way wing, scorer, creator, and one of the core pieces of their identity. For most NBA teams, losing a player like that would cause panic. But for OKC, even without Jalen Williams, their offense and defense still looked elite. That's how deep this roster is. Personally, one of the most impressive players in this series for me was AJ Mitchell. His ability to penetrate the defense, create angles, and attack gaps was incredible. And the fact that OKC has players like him coming off the bench shows just how dangerous this team is. And he's not the only one. They also have guys like Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, and other players who could honestly start for many NBA teams. That's why the Lakers got crushed in bench production. For years, LA's depth has been a weakness. Their bench is actually better this year, but unfortunately for them, they ran into probably the deepest team in the NBA. And then there's the starters. Aside from SGA and AJ, Chet Holmgren was fantastic this series. Efficient scoring, rebounding, defense, he was a huge factor throughout all 4 games. But speaking of defense, OKC's team defense might be the biggest reason the Lakers struggled so badly. The Thunder aren't just deep offensively, they're stacked defensively too. They have Dort, Caruso, Wallace, Chet, Hartenstein, athletic guards, versatile wings, defenders everywhere. They constantly switch assignments, pressure the ball, and force mistakes. Against OKC, it's almost impossible to get a clean possession. One loose ball. Fast break points. One offensive rebound. Another transition attack. In Game 3 alone, the Lakers committed 17 turnovers, and the Thunder converted those into 30 points. That's been the story of the entire series. While watching, the best way I could describe OKC's defense was this. It feels like you're only being guarded by one player, but somehow 6 different hands are reaching for the ball. That's how suffocating they are. You'll notice that in many games, the Lakers actually played well in the first half. They kept things competitive. But once the second half started, OKC would suddenly go on one huge run, and the game would basically be over. That's where you see the difference in energy, depth, defense, and execution. OKC is younger, faster, deeper, and simply more consistent. Meanwhile for the Lakers, almost everything has to go perfectly. Reeves needs to get hot, Rui needs a big game, everybody needs to contribute, and they have to protect the basketball. They basically need a near-perfect game just to compete. But for OKC, even when someone struggles, somebody else steps up. That's what championship-level teams do. This Thunder team has everything. An MVP-caliber superstar, elite defense, rim protection, shooting, playmaking, athleticism, depth, and now, maturity in clutch moments. That's also the biggest difference between OKC and most young teams in the league. They no longer look like a young team searching for an identity. They know exactly who they are. They know how to win. They understand their strengths and weaknesses. And they also have a great head coach leading them. That's why even without a fully healthy roster, they've still dominated these playoffs. And now, they're heading to the Western Conference Finals. The big question now is, who will challenge them next? They'll face the winner between the number 2 seeded Spurs and the number 6 seeded Timberwolves. And honestly, the Spurs matchup is very interesting because Wemby dominated OKC during the regular season, winning 4 out of 5 meetings. So there's definitely intrigue there. But first, San Antonio still has to survive their tough battle with Minnesota. For now, the defending champions, and still the favorites to win it all, are waiting.